this is Samantha here from RecipeThis.com and the voice behind the popular Kitchen Gadgets podcast, Magic with Gadgets. Let me show you how to use a soup machine to make a speed soup. A speed soup is associated with fast weight loss as an alternative to the cabbage soup diet and is popular among members of Slimming World and Weight Watchers. You will love how delicious this soup is, and even if you're not on a diet, it's just fantastic for a beautifully creamy vegetable soup. As well as this recipe, we have more than 1,200 recipes over RecipeThis.com. We have recipes for the air fryer, instant pot, slow cooker, soup maker, bread machine and many others. And we can't wait to welcome you to our family.
So why does this always happen to me? Whenever I plan on doing lots of soup, my soup maker breaks. I don't believe this was the fault of Ninja. I believe it was because it had travelled from the home that we had in Portugal to the removals and back into England. So anyway, it was leaking, so we decided to replace it. And I'm just showing you just how new it is. This video is going to be its first recipe on its new machine. So as you can see, it's still got its sticker on it that you get when you buy them. So let's peel it off and then we can get making our speed soup.
When you're making the speed soup, I actually recommend that you put your high water vegetables of whatever you're using at the bottom. This will help mix it better. And that's why I always add the courgette first. One medium to large courgette's fine. I think I've also done it with two smaller ones. I was quite surprised to get such a big one here because you get them of this size in Portugal, but since I've got here, I've seen quite a few in Tesco's and Asda and Morrison's that are actually quite small, so it's nice to get such a nice big one again. So add in your courgette pieces first. If you're listening to this in the US, courgette's also known as zucchini. I'm sure looking at the pictures of me, the video of me chopping it, I'm sure you've gathered that. So let's add in all those things. There. Now, next on the agenda, some celery. Then in goes the celery. Note, you might have to cut back on this or do it in 2 batches. Because the problem is that these soup makers don't actually hold that much vegetables. The very limited space. You know, depending on which soup maker I'm using, sometimes what I do is I add the tin tomatoes and the salsa later when they've reduced a bit and I can actually fit them in. Because of course they're already cooked, so they don't need much more than that. You can use any of your favourite peppers. You can also mix and match the ingredients. I mean, the speed soup is actually loosely based on the same speed soup my mum used to make when she was on Slimming World in the early 90s. And I know it's done the rounds many times over the years. I know it's popular on Weight Watchers as well. So if you're on Weight Watchers, you can follow this. If you're also exercising, you may find that this doesn't fill you up, in which case what I recommend you serve it with is to mix in some black beans, just a can of black beans, or serve it with some chicken breast, which is a 0-point food on Weight Watchers and also a free food on Slimming World. And then I recommend you add in what I call higher carbs vegetables. You need high carb vegetables because otherwise it doesn't make the soup nice and creamy. You know, you want things like carrots, butternut squash, swede, or as you might call it, rutabaga, or if you're in the colder part of the world, then you'll probably call it neeps. And then just assess and see how much space you've still got in your soup maker. if you've got the Morphy Richards Soup Maker, which is the smaller one, what I recommend is that you chop it all up and then do it in 2 batches. That way you can get it all done. So there's a good carrots have gone in now. So that leaves the swede and the tomatoes. God, I'm really knocking this table. But you know what it's like, Swedes, they take some doing chopping, don't they? Or again, if you're in the US, these are called rutabagas. I love them at Christmas with carrots. Swede and carrot mash, you can't beat it. Or if you search recipe this, what you'll also find on there is we've actually done swede and carrot soup, and that is yummy as well. And that's brilliant for a low calorie option, you know, no butter going in the mash there, is there? And then once you've finished chopping it, I'm just getting rid of the last little bits. Oh, it's all good now. And then what I also have on recipe this is I have a blog post for vegetable stock. So I'm keeping all my peelings so that I can use them for that. And then just chop up the swede. And then as you can see, my soup maker is getting ridiculously full. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to leave the tomatoes for now because I've done a bigger batch than I normally do. And I'm just going to be adding the tin tomatoes now. And then once it started cooking and reduced a bit, I can look at adding in the tomatoes and then they'll blend with it. So as you can see, everything's loaded in. We haven't added the salsa yet and the tomatoes because this is the other method of doing it. Instead of doing it in 2 batches, if you've not quite got 2 batches of vegetables, what you can do is you can start cooking it now and then you can add in some extra ingredients as it's cooking, because the Ninja Soup Maker is fantastic because it blends as it cooks when you set the soup at smooth setting, so you can be reducing it as you go and then get even more out of your soup maker. So these are our tomatoes. You can use 6 or you can use less depending on how much space you've got in your soup maker. It's rather tomatoey is the actual soup because you've got your tin tomatoes, you've got your fresh tomatoes, and of course you've also got your salsa. Right, let's talk salsa, shall we? It's absolutely fantastic for when you're on Weight Watchers or Slimming World. That's because it's ridiculously low calories. I'm not sure about Slimming World, but I know it's totally free on Weight Watchers. It's a pointless food on there. And you can use it as an alternative to ketchup. You can cook so many great things with it. And it's absolutely fantastic for adding some extra flavour to your speed soup. I'm absolutely hooked on it right now and I just can't stop buying salsa. You know, and you could add salsa and then use less herbs and spices. It works well for that. It's really cheap to just get a jar of it. You know, and if you're usually mad for tomato ketchup, then like I say, it's a brilliant replacement. And of course tomatoes don't take long to cook, so they can just be thrown in with the soup at the last minute, along with any other seasonings that you're adding to. So there you go, that's my tomatoes all chopped. I recommend that you add extra salt because tomatoes so needed. So there we go, they're ready now to be dumped into the soup maker. So place the lid down on your soup maker. And then you want to turn your soup maker on and you are looking for the smooth soup setting. And press it. Mine automatically does 30 minutes. It does actually differ quite a bit from different soup makers.
I know a lot of them seem to be set for 27 minutes or 28 minutes. If you're cooking something in the soup maker and you know it's done in 10 minutes, you can just cancel it after 10 minutes. It really doesn't matter. It's just a preset that you've got. So we'll keep an eye on it and we'll come back to it to be able to get in some of our other ingredients in a bit.
So check this out. It's got 5 minutes 10 left. And look at how much space we've now got on the top of the soup maker. And this is ideal for adding in any extra vegetables that wouldn't fit before. Right, so what you want to do is you want to remove the lid from your soup maker. Right, you want to be careful when you're doing that because it is boiling, so you don't want it to splash you and burn you. So that's all in there now, and I'm just going to use this opportunity to get some of the salsa in there as well. And there you go, add in one of your jars of salsa. I'm using 2, but if you don't like it that spicy, you can just add 1, but it's mild salsa, so it's really not that spicy. And then you want to place the lid back on. So look, you've now got that extra room. And then you simply press your smooth soup setting again because the lid's been off and it'll readjust itself. So as you can see, that's how much it's made. But of course, what annoys me about this soup maker is it only holds so much. And if you're doing a speed soup diet for a few days, this isn't enough. So what I recommend you do is you make it like this, or like I said, you can do it in a couple of batches, and then you want to reduce the portion in the soup maker. So there's one. Oh, excuse my spillages. Do another one, because you're wanting to reduce it as much as you can. So that's 2 that it's down by, and let's do a third, shall we? And then we can add in some extra ingredients. So there you go, that's 3 of them. So if you look at how much is actually in the soup maker now, Dominic's Jesus he was worried that he was going to end up eating it. Don't worry, Dominic, you don't have to eat it. So add in your salt, your pepper, and whichever other seasonings you're planning on using. And then next, I'm just going across the kitchen to get something else. And here is an extra can of tin tomatoes. So as you can see, we're already stretching it out some more. You can also add in more salsa if you want it nice and spicy, or you can just have it like this. And then what you're doing now instead is you're putting it on the blend. I recommend just a low setting. Now what you've got here is you've got 3 individual portions, and then this portion that's left in will do 4 portions. So that's enough for you to have lunch for a week on speed soup. And this is the speed soup, made in the soup maker. It's absolutely delicious. You can make a big batch of it, you can do a regular batch of it, you can mix and match your vegetables. For example, you can use leek if you want. As long as you're aiming for 6 to 7 veggies in it, then it's perfect for fast weight loss. And also note, you can add more salsa, you can freeze it, and you can just portion it up like this. Reheat it in the microwave, so it's perfect for taking to work with you. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Recipe This family. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook and Pinterest. We also have a weekly newsletter at recipethis.com/newsletter, where we share with you our latest kitchen gadget recipes, what we're cooking in the Milner kitchen, and so much more. As well as this, we recommend that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then whenever we have a new video, you will be the first to know. And if you want to know about all our future videos, then I recommend you hit the bell for instant notifications. But even better, we now have a podcast. It's called Magic with Gadgets. Simply search Magic with Gadgets on your favourite podcast player and you'll find us there.